A sociological take on our contemporary silk roads and hazmat highways. That's poet, dramatist, activist and sociologist Prof Ari Sitas' latest book titled Notes for an Oratorio on Small Things That Fall Like a Screw in the Night. He worked alongside journalist, scholar and activist Greg Dor, Kristy Stone, who is a visual artist and theoretician of acoustics at the Center for Humanities Research, University of the Western Cape, and composer and leader of quite a number of ensembles, and of course a virtuoso guitarist, Reza Khota. Professor Sitas joins us now on Zoom to tell us more about Notes for an Oratorio. Professor, a very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning to you and to everybody who's up at this time of the morning.
Now, give us a brief synopsis of what Notes for an Oratorio is about and what really inspired the book.
Well, let's start what inspired the book. I've been privileged enough to be traveling to the new centers of world activity, to China, to India, to the Gulf region. And everywhere I went, I met our students, young students who were perplexed by the world around them, what was going on. And I thought to myself, well, let's do something that's poetic, sociological. Let's try and understand together what this incredible new world, full of wonderful things and horrors, is all about. So all these young students with scholarships going to Beijing, going to Delhi, going to Mumbai, going to all these places and sending letters back home. I was in conversation with them all the time. And I was trying basically to paint a picture that's accessible to most people through writing about it.
Okay.
But yeah, so that was basically the impulse that brought this about.
Okay. Now, Professor, this book is obviously a poetic, a creative, and as well as a sociological take on our contemporary silk roads and hazmat highways. In what so? In what way is this, a sociological take on this?
Well, just the book contains a narrative, which is poetic and dramatic, but also in the columns, there is a sociological account of everything that is being visited. In other words, what does it look like? What does it feel like to produce these tons of silk these days? What are these mountains of dead silkworms everywhere? What is going on there? So mixing ugliness with beauty and so that's basically, so there's a sociology about it. Mm-hmm. There is a way through which you can enter and listen to music about it, animations about it. So I'm trying to balance through this effort all kinds of experiences.
Okay.
So somebody who's more interested in what's going on will read the sociological stuff.
And what musical narrative are you crafting with this book?
Yes, there is, if you open the first page, then it links you to a site where you can listen to how musicians responded to this and responded to the animations that were drawn about this. So it's 31 minutes of very interesting music and animation that is involved. And it's so wonderful to have such great friends who are ready to cooperate and put this package, this platform together.
Let's talk about the book title, Professor. I mean, what's the significance of the title Notes for an Oratorio on Small Things That Fall Like a Screw in the Night?
Well, the first thing that shocked me was a set of poems I was given by somebody who is manufacturing these cell phones that we celebrate. Series of poems before he committed suicide because of what he said, the experience he was undergoing there. And he said, I'm going to be dying, I'm going to be going, and I'm going to fall like a screw in the night, alone. Nobody will notice me ever again. And that started the idea, oh my, we're talking about this wonderful thing that we hold, this community in motion, this cell phone, and behind it there are these ghosts, these hauntings. So that's what started it, this screw that falls in the night that we don't notice. But let's notice what's going on. So that was basically what gave me the title. And I was writing for, the idea was to have an oratorio coming out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And speak to us about working alongside Kristy Stone, Greg Dor, and Reza Khota, and what their roles were in the book.
Well, first, when I finished a lot of these words, I got a lot of friends together for us to have a reading and to advise me what could happen. And it so happened that they were there as well and said, well, how about doing an animation and doing drawings? So she started drawing intricate things. I said, but can we animate them? Because if you animate them, then you can have a soundtrack. So that's how it started, through conversation. They drew, they played, they got friends to come and play and record in a little studio. So that's how it happened. But the wonderful thing that made it, in a sense, famous is that fantastic directors in India, Anuradha Kapoor and Deepan Sivaraman, took sections of it and made a very enticing play called The Dark Things, which attracted a lot of people. So that's why the book immediately found an audience to be published in India because of the success of the play. And then, from India, they partnered with Columbia University Press in the US. So they are also publishing and distributing the book. And now it's about to find a partner here in South Africa for it to happen here, because the Amazon route is very expensive.
Prof, the animation aspect is a very interesting element, I would say, in the book. I mean, what was the thought process of adding that dimension?
Well, the thing is that because the artist was entrapped by these tactile material things of our world around us, and she started drawing these things in a static way, then when she put them next to each other, they looked like their own story. So that started the idea of, let's create an animation. And that's, so in putting all these drawings together and in creating movement, just basically a picture, you take a photograph, you take the next picture, a photograph, then you mix them up, you put them next to each other, and all of a sudden there is a kind of unfolding movie happening. So that's how it happened.
All right.
Yeah.
So what were the highlights of working on this project, Professor, and what has been the response to Notes for an Oratorio from the creative sector?
Well, at the moment, it's brand new. The launch happened, and it was very well attended, and it was basically South Africa and India and the world talking about it. A lot of creative people who were fascinated by it are talking to me at the moment. So, in a sense, it has nice echo to start with.
Okay.
Now, so we'll see. It's not going to break the bank. I hope it breaks even in terms of the expenditure.
Right.
But it's there now. It's there. It's up to people to respond, to call me names, to like it.
Yeah.
And let's move on. Yeah.
Yeah. Where is it now, Professor? Where can you get a copy?
Well, you can get it at the moment. Because the National Institute for Humanities and Social Sciences hosted the launch, it has some copies there. Otherwise, they have, so it's, and otherwise Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all the, and I'm sure Take a Lot and all those ways before we release it as hard copy in South Africa.
Okay, Professor Sitas, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Poet, dramatist, activist and sociologist Professor Ari Sitas there speaking to us about his book Notes for an Oratorio on Small Things That Fall Like a Screw in the Night, which he co-authored with Kristy Stone, Greg Dor and Reza Khota. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more in a moment.